Let's talk about margins. When you understand how margins work, and more importantly, what the computer thinks a margin is, it's going to be easier for you to work with your documents. We'll start in bad analogy land. When you hang a picture on the wall, we tend not to hang them in corners or against ceilings, but in the middle of a blank space. Visually, this makes it easier for us to focus on the picture. Kind of is the same thought with a page. Look at any book, magazine, form, brochure, almost anything that you see. The text does not go all the way to the edge of the page. There will be space at the top, bottom, and on the left and the right, some blank white space. We call that margin. Margins, one, make the text easier to see when there's some visual space. Makes it easier for us to want to read it. It's also, of course, easier for binding. If you are going to create a book or a binder with three-hole punch, or even staple them together, having that space for the binding is going to make it easier so the words aren't tucked into or hidden by the binding. Not to mention, most printers, almost any printer that a person can buy in the store, is not going to print to the edge of the page anyway. That tends to be with professional printers. So when you're typing a document, there is an invisible line. This red dotted line represents that invisible line around your document. And that invisible line is where the text starts and where it ends. It will not go past it. It will not go above it or below it. That invisible red line is sometimes called the margin. It's actually more a margin stop or margin marker. There is a number for that margin. It might be at the 1 inch mark, it might be at the 1.5 inch mark, or whatever the person has said. But that white space around the text area, that is the margin area. So often the text area is where obviously the words are, and the white space is called the margin. You have a margin on the left and a margin on the right. Notice those margins do not go all the way to the top. The left and right margin starts at the top of the text and ends at the bottom of the text. You also have a top margin and a bottom margin. Now notice those do go all the way from the left to the right side of the page. Normally you cannot type in the margin. It's no man's land, so to speak. However, the top margin and bottom margin have a special area. The special area in the top margin is called the header, and you can actually put text in the header. The bottom margin has a special area called the footer for the same reason. You can put text in there. Whatever you put in the header or the footer is going to be repeated on every page in that document. So what do we put in the header and footer? Whatever you want. But commonly, the name of the document or the book or the chapter can go in the header or the footer. The name of the author often is seen in a header or footer, or the name of the company. Dates are often put in a header or footer, especially if it's something that has been revised or gone through several revisions, so you know which document is the most current. And very commonly, the page number is in the header or the footer. Being able to use headers or footers and put strategic information in them can make your document look quite polished.